Welcome my viewer. This is Nuggets of Wisdom with the main Dr. Nzomo A.K, bringing to you the 50th episode on this platform. Actually, the previous episode, I introduced now real life coaching after tackling the human mind on 3 different episodes. Human mind being the pivot around which our life revolves. Now, last episode, I launched now into real life and I introduced to you the 4 keys we need to have now in order to lead a peaceful life, especially from age 20, where I explained thoroughly why life should be now beginning at age 20, after now we are through with our teenage, when we now transit to our prime. Now we saw the 4 keys we need to have. The first being the key of understanding yourself very well and actually respecting yourself. The key of having the humility of understanding fellow human beings and respecting their space in life. The key of understanding that in the land of the living we are governed by law and you respect the rule of law. Now the 4th key is understanding that the true God exists and you choose to be a God-fearing human beings. When you have those keys, believe you me, you execute your life business with peace of mind, and definitely you will become your best. As I introduced this book, that is become your best, understand and unleash your potential. Well, that is what now is well articulated in this book. When now we begin to launch into life, to deploy ourselves in the land of the living from age 20. In this now new episode, I want to bring to you 3 levels of laws governing life. Last episode, I talked about the very key, that is understanding that we are governed by law and you respect the rule of law. But now in this episode, I would like now to introduce to you 3 levels of laws that are governing life. And you need to understand that laws of life are not broken. You contravene a law at your peril. A law of life can only be overpowered by another bigger law. And that's why, for example, even in the law of the land, any other legislation or another bill that comes, a legislation concerning any aspect in the land, whether it is touching humanity or the state, any other legislation, whether it's a constitution you are making in your church or in business or whatever, it should be subject to the supreme law, that is the constitution. It can be challenged or suspended by that. That is the supreme law. So even when you are coming out with your constitution or this and that, make sure it is compatible with the constitution. It is actually consistent with the constitution. Otherwise, once you end up in a court of law, any other legislation can be suspended by the supreme law. It will not hold water when subjected to the scrutiny of the supreme law, that is the constitution. So even in life, there are laws that now can suspend others. The 3 levels of law I want to introduce that are real, that are governing us, and you need to understand them. If you don't understand these laws and what they mean, you might not end up releasing your full potential. You might end up not becoming your best. And this is not about now the keys you have. It is about now violation of the laws that are governing life. The 3 levels of law. Number 1 is what now I've talked about in the last episode as key number 3. That is called the laws of the land. And wherever you are, you find that there are rules, there are regulations. That is the laws of the land. You also have to understand that above that level of law, that level of laws, there is now what we call the laws of nature. The laws of nature are well above the laws of the land. when I will be tackling that. And then now there's the third level, which actually is the ultimate, and that is what now is called the spiritual laws that are governing life. These are now the three levels of law which you need to understand once you hit age 20, because now you are beginning to deploy yourself in the land of the living, and you have to ensure that you are not actually violating laws if you want to lead a good life, if you want to lead a smooth life in the land of the living, if you want to trend the terrain already successfully. It is very important to understand these laws. Now, the first level of law, I'm just going to tackle it briefly, because in the last episode, I mentioned a bit about it. That is now the laws of the land. And this is where you have to ensure that as you hit age 20, onward, you are not now dictated by a spirit that works in the children of disobedience, as we saw in the book of Ephesians chapter 2 verse 2, book of Ephesians chapter 5 verse 6, and we see in Colossians chapter 3 verse 6, Paul talking about that spirit which is leading human beings to disobey. Even in school, there are regulations. Even at place of work, there are regulations. Everywhere there are regulations, and there are even in the national laws. Now, all that, these are the laws of the land. Every state there are laws. Once you get into their territory, you respect the laws, else you are going to face the consequences. These are the laws. You have to make sure also you respect them and you obey them if you want actually to release your full potential in the land of the living. Make sure you are a law-abiding citizen wherever you are. Make sure wherever you are working, you respect the regulations there. If you want to have a smooth work, make sure you respect kitu kinaitwa the law, the rule of law. Now, that is the first level of the law. Those who choose not to respect the rule of law, those who choose not to be obedient, they end up being in conflict with other fellow human beings, in conflict with the state, either committing crime against humanity or committing crime against the state. And always, as I stated last episode, you cannot have peace of mind when you are always in the middle of litigation, or when you are not pursuing peace with other men. You are always at loggerheads. You cannot have peace. Now, to pursue your life goals, to release your full potential, you cannot have peace of mind. And without peace of mind, definitely you have psychological disturbance, and you cannot do your work effectively. You cannot launch into your tasks of life effectively when you are disturbed psychologically. So the first level is to ensure you understand the laws of the land and you respect them. Now, the second level, which I would like to tackle a bit intensively and extensively, is the laws of nature, because this is where so many human beings are messing a great deal. Those who followed me in my third episode here, where I talked about 3 levels of wisdom and the foolishness, already you understand it very well. If you never captured that video, you can go for that video. It is still in this channel, Nuggets of Wisdom, where we saw who a stupid man is, we saw who a compound fool is, and we saw who an idiot is. 3 levels of foolishness, and also 3 levels of wisdom. The first one being knowledge acquisition. That is the first level of wisdom, as we saw in Proverbs chapter 18 verse 15. Any diligent mind acquires knowledge, they are the wise seeks knowledge. Wise human beings don't say, I wish I knew. They know whatever becomes a personal concern, it's their personal responsibility now to acquire the required knowledge before they launch on a project, before they log in. They ensure that they have the correct information. They don't say, I wish I knew. A fool is that person who does not inquire, even as the Swahili people say, auliza si mjinga. So, already that's the first level of wisdom. If you don't ask, you are a fool. Now, the second level are those who cannot now apply what they know. Second level of wisdom is not acquisition, knowledge acquisition. It is now application of knowledge, correct application of knowledge. Now being able to apply what already you know. Because if you mess, you cannot tell anybody, I wish I knew. You knew. So that is justified for you now to be a compound fool, because you cannot tell anybody why you are not applying correctly what you already know. And the third level is now where now we brought now the aspect of an idiot, that a person who, in accordance with the Proverbs chapter 27 verse 22, can be put in a mortar. We add some grains, we take pestles, we begin to greet these human beings, and the foolishness cannot go away. Those are the people who actually cannot even learn through the best teacher, who is called experience. And yet we know experience is the best teacher. It is very painful to learn the hard way. It is very costly to learn through mistakes. Yet you find human beings who repeat their mistakes. If you cannot learn through your personal pain and sorrow, you are repeating a mistake, then it means nobody can help you. There's no professor who can help you in terms of knowledge if you cannot learn through the best teacher. Now through having failed the point, and you are repeating it, now already you are irredeemable. Now that's where now we see it is justified for you now to be now called an idiot. It's such a person who actually, when you are using an adjective stupid, or you are using an adjective foolish, you have to add some degree adverb. You have to say very stupid or utterly foolish in order to mean that noun called idiot. You get that stuff very well articulated in the episode 3, where you get 3 levels of wisdom and the foolishness. Now, coming to the second level of laws governing life. This is where we find so many human beings now turning out to be compound fools. People who cannot, either compound fools or idiots. People who either cannot apply correctly what they know, or are repeating even their mistakes. They are yesterday mistakes, they are yesteryear's mistakes, they are repeating. Meaning, even if we put them in a mortar, we had some grain, we take pestles, we begin to grade these human beings, or they are too thick, they cannot change. And when you have such a person with you, you have an idiot, and you have a uphill task ahead of you. When if that person is your colleague in any way or another, or is your partner in any way or another, already you have got a heavy load to carry. Now, coming to the laws of nature, when I do life coaching, especially to the youngsters, you see many don't understand the difference between life coaching and counseling and motivation. And it's very important to understand that in life, those are very different aspects needed. And you may be in need of only one, not the other. And that is actually, so motivational speaker and a counselor and a life coach, these are different players. You may be meticulous in tackling all of this, but they require different players. If you can tackle all of them, it is well and good. The good example to use is when it comes to sports and how it applies. When you see a player is wounded, that player, as the coach, has got little business with such a player. Like quoting example of the last World Cup, where we have one very great team that was playing the team of France, where we have one very key player called Karim Benzema. And throughout the World Cup, that player never featured in the field because he was wounded. So he was not in the hands of the coach. He was in the hands of a doctor. He was in the hands of a doctor, and until the doctor is through with him, the coach already had no business with that person, because even giving him winning strategies and he is not going to the field, that is working in futility. It's working, that is futile. So it was not in the hands of the coach. Now the person who needed a coach is that key player, Kylian Mbappe. That is the player actually the coach ensure that they are moving bumper to bumper. Even when you see it is halftime, the coach is near, trying to show him, when you get to the field, do this. That is now life coaching. When you go there, do that is giving winning strategies. Winning strategies are not given to somebody who is sick. So if somebody is psychologically wounded and traumatized, that person does not need a life coach. That person needs a doctor, a counselor, first of all, to heal psychologically. Now, because giving such a person winning strategies, now it's like insulting their intelligence. Even it is like now playing a guitar to a goat, because this person is wounded. Maybe he has got no food. He is already enduring anger pangs. Give him food first. Let him first of all eat. Solve this psychological trauma before now you begin talking to him. So if somebody is psychologically traumatized, he needs a counseling, first of all, to cure psychologically. Before now starting telling him now don't get married. If you get married at this age, you are going to short circuit your life in this and that, going by laws of nature. You are making this mistake. That is now winning strategies. And those are now, that is life coaching. It is given to somebody who is not traumatized. And this is where, when actually I'm speaking to many handouts because of the mistakes they made in life, violating laws of nature, some may feel that you are condemning them because they cannot turn back at the hand of the clock. They cannot reverse some of the mistakes they made. Those mistakes have permanent scars. So they think you are condemning them. People who need actually counseling when you are giving them winning strategies. And then now still there is a motivation. That is where now the players also need the cheering squad. People are raising their flag. People are raising their voices. These are cheering squad. That is motivation. We all need motivation. No matter how talented you think you are, you can lose for lacking that cheering squad also, because we are human and we all need this actually different kind of players in our life in order to tick exemplary. Now, that having been said, now we are at the second level of laws governing life, and this is where we meet so many human beings who are actually in need of counseling, but I'm not now for that. Me, I'm on introducing the laws because I'm talking to life from age 20, where a human being needs to be well guided. Now, so many we know they are full of misguided curiosity, and they end up short-changing their destinies, short-circuiting their lives when they are not well guided in life. And this is where now a lot mistake is done when it comes to application of the laws of nature. We violate these laws. And one of the key aspects I would like to talk about is that now so many people are messing, especially in the third world countries, is the issue of marriage. This most of the youngsters are jumping to marrying. They start producing children, underrating the law of nature in biology that it says we must eat in order to live. Now, and this is where now they cripple themselves economically, definitely, because there is a law at work. A law of nature is never violated. It is bigger and powerful than the law of the land. It is better you be in a community 20 years being fed by the government because it has to budget for you. Once they confine you there, they must budget how you will be eating, than actually to be out of committee and actually you choose to throw yourself from the 20th floor because you see you are late and you want to get to the ground very fast because you don't want to be late to work. You are violating a law. There's something called force of gravity. Now you are going to die and then leave those people at committee still surviving. You are going to die. You are violating a law. Or a vehicle accelerating at 100 kilometers per hour, and because it is past your stage, instead of waiting for it now to stop wherever it will stop, now you choose to jump. You are violating a law. You are violating a very big law. And Jesus called the violation of these laws sin of tempting your God. You are putting your God to test. He created the universe and he enacted these very stable laws which he cannot keep on changing gears. When it comes to the laws of nature, you have to understand that actually they are suspended by bigger laws, spiritual laws, like Joshua son of Nun, who commanded the sun to stand for 24 hours at Gibeon and the moon to wait in the valley of Ageron. You also see a German called Enoch who challenged the force of gravity, went to heaven. Elijah followed suit. Jesus Christ followed suit. These are laws. They violated the laws of nature. Now in application of the bigger laws, that is spiritual laws, that I will tackle later. I will tackle later on this platform. That is Nuggets of Wisdom. Going by laws of nature, so long as you are not a juvenile, you need to stop jokes. From age 20, life has no jokes. And the life does not laugh with anybody. The laws of nature, life, I say, in the introduction episode to this program, I say life is very, very practical. It will never be synonymous with the fantasies. If you succeed to dodge a fact in life, you cannot succeed in dodging failure. That is where now we are talking about laws that are governing life. And also the example that I have even used when I'm talking about foolishness, the second level, that is lack of mental ability to apply what you already know, is that issue of somebody taking the issue of marriage for granted. Yes, Jesus said, man shall leave father and mother and cling to his wife and become one flesh. But still, that have been said, you have to understand that there is higher responsibility. There is higher responsibility because now you have to ensure, as those who looked at the episode of the functions of the mind, and we saw what is called reasoning as engage your mind into logical, rational, and analytical thinking, where Jesus talked about before building a tower, you need to sit down first and calculate the cost. That is applicable because you cannot violate a law. This is where you have to sit down, engage your mind into logical, rational, and analytical thinking. Read things between the lines very perfectly. See light at the end of the tunnel before now you say, I'm going to log in into marriage. You have to do thorough calculations. If you cannot apply what you know, now we stated clearly it is not justified to be called a fool. It is justified to be called just a compound fool, because if you know you don't have a budget as a single human being to feed yourself because of financial constraints, you know you are not employed, and there is nobody who is going to wave a wave of magic on you and the food started pouring from heaven. Unless you apply magic or miracle, you are not going to hit. Now, those are now spiritual laws, which we may engage later. Now, we are talking about truth. Facts, without waving a magic wand or without invoking for miracles. Now we are talking about reality. You cannot escape reality. You are not employed. And even you have a debt of 3 years, you have been struggling with it for 3 years. A debt of less than 50K, you have not cleared that debt, you are struggling. And you struggle with the landlord to pay rent, even past 15, you are struggling. And you are struggling to give yourself 3 decent meals. Now, you need to understand that if you know that, and you deceive yourself that now you are going to get married, now you are proving to be a compound fool, because when you are asked if you don't have a budget of one person, how 2 people are going to eat, you have to tell us, because you are not a goat, you are not a petty donkey, you are a human being. You are now in the category called Homo sapiens. Thinking human being, you are that creature. And if you cannot tell us, you start laughing, and the life is not a laughing matter. Now already you are telling us, that laughter is telling us you are a compound fool. You are just trying to dodge a fact, and already reality of life does not laugh with the people. It is going to slap you in the face, in the middle, and light is straight in the middle of your eyes. That is how life is. You cannot joke with it. And this is where we find so many youngsters now arising and violating laws of nature through engaging into romance at early age. I always say a romance of somebody who is less than 23 years, unless you are inheriting a lot of wealth from your parents and all this and that, unless you have a well-paying job, I say that is a big joke. Any romance of somebody less than 20. This is the time you are supposed, now you are past secondary school level, you are supposed to be focusing on now to lay foundation of your life, including economic foundation. You are supposed to be focused on that, because there is a child who is going to appear. Even leave alone your spouse, a child is going to appear. And this is a matter you are not supposed to underrate, because the government has not set a budget to feed anybody who is not in a state prison. These are things you know very well. And these are things so many parents are not helping their offspring. They are not guiding their children. Their children are always full of misguided curiosity. They are ending up there frustrating their lives, short-circuiting their lives, and they are in a real turmoil because of lack of proper guidance. Others don't want even to be guided. They think they know it all, and that is a great tragedy. This is violation of the laws of nature. Actually, the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, that gentleman Abraham Maslow gave the hierarchy, Maslow hierarchy of needs, and even leave alone what is in the top of this pyramid, that which you should actually understand it very well if you are going to realize your full potential. Even what is in the top, self-actualization, reaching self-actualization, a full release of potential, you have to understand that pyramid very well. But even when you go to the bottom, there where you get what they call basic needs. You are told about the food, clothing, and the shelter. But let me tell you, even what you were told in school as basic needs, I tell you very clearly, they are not the same. Where the place of shelter is not the place of clothing, and it's not the place of food. You can construct a house and if finance is just finished, you have closed your house and you start living in it for 5 good years without even doing plaster, and you are alive. We meet with you. You are doing your life business. You are doing your leadership. You are doing whatever. That is shelter, and still the same case applies to clothing. You can hit in a ceremony full. You go, but before you reach home, I want to tell you, already you'll be hungry. You'll be in need of another food. But the jacket that you were wearing in that function, you will wake up tomorrow and wear it. But tomorrow you need another food. Not the food you ate in the function, not the food you ate in supper after you arrived at home. Tomorrow you need fresh food, another food with another expense. So the issue of food is not the same as jacket. That jacket, you are going to wear it until you forget when you purchased it. And you still, when you are wearing it, you are still decent. The place of shelter, the place of clothing, when it comes to consuming our finance, cannot come anywhere near matching the issue of eating. We need food every day. And it is very costly. And this is something so many people are under it. Even the rich people are going for mediocre clothes. They are called mitumba, second-hand, now second-hand. And they are very cheap. But there's no mutumba food. There's no mutumba for food when it comes to food. And this is where we need to take life very seriously. We have to be very critical thinkers. We take life in reality as it is. We analyze it logically, rationally, and we stop this joke of violating the laws. Because you are going to sleep in anger, while those who have actually violated only the law of nature have eaten in prison. The law of the land have eaten in prison. Now that is also borrowed from the Holy Scriptures. King Solomon is telling her, praying to God in Proverbs chapter 30 verse 9, telling God, give me not poverty, lest I be poor and steal. That is in the Scriptures. Poverty can make you steal. Well, you are not basically a thief. That is called anger pangs. Anger pangs can make you. While the proprietor of hotel has gone there to put some tea to some people, from yesterday you have not eaten, you are seated there to enter to the counter and pick 2 chapati, put in your pocket, and then disappear. When now you are pained by anger pangs, I want you to tell you all kinds of feelings, whether it is anger, whether it is what, whether it is anger pangs, they bring impaired perception. That time when you are picking the chapati, you don't mind about mob justice and losing your life. That time when you are picking that chapati, you don't mind about ending in prison when you are caught. Feelings are very powerful and they cloud the mind. And this is very clear. Being poor and can make you steal when you are not a thief. That is from the Holy Scriptures. And these are things we cannot dare underrate because it is a law of nature. You are violating a big law when you are jumping into an issue of marriage without a proper consideration, without a proper calculations. This is something, if you are listening to me, you are a young person, you are there, you are a parent, you think your son of 21 years is playing a hero because he's going to give you a grandchild, and you cannot even feed yourself. And that son of yours cannot feed himself. You think that is heroism. That is stupidity. That is not heroism. Because he's going to begin singing in a world of debts, and he's not going to dodge blood pressure, is not going to dodge psychological trauma, is not going to dodge stomach ulcers, is not going to dodge depression. Let us help this generation. Let us be very careful when we are negotiating the path of life. Let us be very careful. The other aspect I tackle still on the laws of nature is the issue of drugs and alcohol. You know, we are in a world where so many preachers want to demonize everything. They forget about, they ignore the fact that taking something that is addictive can turn you to a slave. You see, in Isaiah chapter 55 verse 2, the Bible is asking, why spending money on that which is not food? Now, we have come from the laws of nature and we have talked about the food. But there is a lot of stuff people are taking that is not food. It is consuming their finance day in and day out, and it is not food. Simply because they began like a joke through peer pressure. Yet, when that stuff now got to their bloodstream and they got addicted, now they began to live hell on earth. These are things we are underrated. So many gentlemen are drinking beer. I'm not condemning them. They are smoking. I'm not condemning them. But why can't you help your child? That child, why are you not honest? Because many of these, even teachers who are drinking beer and smoking, they are not honest. They just go out there pretending they are not living hell on earth. Through experience, many of them, they know they are living hell on earth. I remember another payslip I saw be posted in one of the WhatsApp groups in which I am, and that is it is in Machako School alumni, those who school in that school of Okambani. And I looked at the payslip, the gross being over 80K. So that means somebody is better, well paid, most probably a graduate, 80-something K. After the deductions, Pegina, whatever, there is now is left with the 50-something K. But there is something factored in called equity loan of 26K. I'm not now talking on finance here. I don't know if he took that loan to do what. When you're talking about the pillars governing money, that might be now suicidal. Now, it is factored in. There is equity loan to be facilitated now of 26K. Now, the parts that the guy is left with the net, according to the payslip, net of 23K. Simple question. Even if that person does not chew mukuga and does not drink beer, if he just smokes, just sportman, and he's not a chain smoker, just an average smoker who just smokes an average of 1 packet in a day, you know, definitely every time he's stepping on a filter after smoking the tobacco, that is 20 bob, that has gone. And at the end of the day, a packet is 400 shillings. Now we say that is 12K in a month. You reduce it from the 23 net. That person is left with 11,000, has got a wife to go to salon, has got a child who needs, leave alone school fees, needs pocket money. And then maybe he took that loan to go and purchase a personal vehicle. Will that gentleman pay the mechanic? Let's just stop being jokers. Will he pay the mechanic when he takes the vehicle for service? He has not even eaten himself. He has only smoked tobacco. 12K. He's left with the net. Now he's left with 11K, and he has got a life to live. He has got a parent, maybe a wife to take care of. He has got children to take care of. Surely. And when we are talking about mental disorders and all this, already we tend to ignore the fact that stupidity and the foolishness. This is the major cause of mental disorders. Lack of mental ability to apply what you know, lack of mental craving to acquire knowledge, and already lack of humility of learning through your mistakes. The levels I tackled on wisdom. Surely this is a great joke. It's just a joke of the millennium. And that person is going through that hell. Yet, he cannot use his personal pain and sorrow to raise a child who will never repeat that mistake. To make sure he is helping his child. Even if you are addicted to a level of that now, unless you go to rehab school, now you cannot come out of that mess. Now, why do you watch until your own son, all the way through teenage, to go and now start repeating your mistake? You must be heartless. You are not human enough. You cannot claim to be a human being of goodwill. Heroes in this life are those who use their own mistakes to raise a better generation. Hero who can put a t-shirt written HIV positive to help somebody never to repeat the mistake she made or the mistake. Those are the heroes we have. Where are the heroes who are just rotting in drunkenness and wilderness, who are now in smoking and all that? Who can help this generation? Because go to university, you find high population. They are still repeating the mistakes of their parents. They are in smoking. They are in beer. They are in all that. Surely, how can we say we are serious with life? Because as a life coach, it is very disturbing when it comes to violation of the laws of nature. This is not something that we were born smoking. This is not something which you are not. This is not something you are given by your mother when you were sucking. This is something you begin to teach yourself from teenage. You enter to your prime now, and you choose not to live it. At age 20, where I said the most intelligent human beings are those who can learn through mistakes of others. At age 20, that is where you should look at your hunger, how beer is driving him. You look at your elder brother, how smoking cigarette is driving him crazy. You look at their mistakes and you say, even without the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, I cannot smoke this thing. This is hell on earth. I cannot drink this thing. Those are the most intelligent people. But this is where now we find so many youths who have got degrees, who are going to be graduates, yet conducting their life business like graduates without grand sense. It is a tragedy. If you are now trying to navigate your life using drugs, using alcohol, escaping reality into a world of fantasy. You know, when you take 2 to 3 bottles, already you are not yourself. That is why William Shakespeare, quoting him in this book, while addressing on the issues of drinking, quoting William Shakespeare, he said, he marveled, oh God, why should a man put a poison in his mouth to steal away his brain? When you just take 2 or 3, you have got 2,000, and that is not your money. That money you were sent to take somewhere. But once 2 carry you, you have impaired perception. You have now staggering movement. You have now slurred speech. You begin to underrate everything, including the money you are carrying. You think it is yours, and you begin to drink it. And you begin to buy beer to other people. When you sober up, come from that world of reality, world of fantasies, you wake up into a world of reality. You discover that already you have swallowed somebody's money. How are you not compounding your distress? How can you claim that you are not compounding your stress? And this is just simply because you are drunkard, you are not sober. Most of your hours, you are not in a world of reality, you are in a world of fantasies, and you call that life. Surely, when tackling the laws of nature, unless we be honest, because that is what is lacking with many people, being honest with life, being honest. They want to dodge facts. That is what is lacking. When it comes to laws of nature, if we want to get this generation out of limbo, we must be very careful, and we must be honest with life, and we must avoid issues to do with the drugs, issues to do with the alcohol, with all gusto we can master. We have to be very honest. We have to help this generation to come out of this ocean. Stop drowning in the ocean of drinking alcohol, of smoking, if at all we are serious. Because I've only quoted cigarette, just consuming your 12K if you smoke, just potman and never smoker. We have not talked about the money that is going to go to beer, and if you chew muguka, we have not even mentioned that. Surely, Isaiah 55 verse 2, why spend money on that which is not food? Why? Why? Because I always, in my life coaching, I use the word of God as the ultimate authority, the philosophy that cannot be challenged. It is called the wisdom of God in Luke chapter 11, verse 14, the words of Jesus Christ. This is an area I lounge deep when time allows me to help this generation not to drown in the ocean of drinking alcohol, in the ocean of smoking and chewing muguka, in order I help them to be sober, be themselves, let them release potential, being sober. That is an area we have underrated very much. And the third one, as I now conclude on these levels of law governing life, that is now the laws of nature. I have to mention is now pornography. Pornography is messing this generation because now we have information in our fingertips, apps out there in our smartphones, and you know everything that has got an advantage in life has got disadvantages. So it depends on what is called the willpower. You have got the willpower to know now when you get to your smartphone, are you going to Google a word and get how it is defined by Collins, by Cambridge, by Macmillan? Oh, that is an advantage. You don't need to buy those dictionaries. You just need to have to Google the word. Look at how each has defined. That is an advantage of technology. You can just carry so many Bible translations. That is smartphone. That is an advantage of technology. But there are disadvantages. That is smartphone can give you people doing sex. Not naked, doing sex. That is smartphone. And you see, this generation is full of foolishness. We have seen, as we have seen, the first level of wisdom and is knowledge acquisition. Proverbs 18:15. An intelligent mind acquires knowledge. The ear of the wise seeks knowledge. And as I've stated, the highest level of wisdom are those, wisdom and the diligence are those who can learn through mistakes of others. And that is what I saw I stated in the first major function of the mind, which is called learning. Quoting Romans chapter 15 verse 4, Paul said, whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, so that through patience and the comfort of scriptures we might have hope. Now, we have King David. That episode, the episode of King David and the Bathsheba, is very clear, is well known by so many people. And we know David has been quoted twice in the Holy Scriptures as a man after God's heart. But his spiritual track record has only one angry blotch. That is his affair with Bathsheba. Because when now he saw that woman, the nakedness of that woman, the feelings of David now drove him crazy. That is called impaired perception. That is where now David did what was not premeditated. He did not wake up in the morning to commit adultery. No, it is after now he saw a naked woman. Now, the sensory now, the sense of sight. That is why we saw when I was introducing the first chapter, talking about how now information enters the immediate conscious. From there, it proceeds to the memory faculties. From there, subconscious. I said, if you want to guard your heart with all diligence, you must control what is going to enter into your mind through sensory nerves. And we stated Job chapter 1 verse Job chapter 31 verse 1, where he said, I made a covenant with my eyes. Why should I look unto a maiden? This still agrees with what David saw. He just saw a naked woman. And from there, the sense of sight now triggered the feelings. And the feelings went straight to the mind, and then now brought mental psychological disturbance and impaired perception. David from there, he committed adultery and murder almost simultaneously. A man after God's heart. What do you learn? Who told you or who lied to you that you are cut from a different material as a human being from David? We are all human beings, wired up as human beings. And we all have got the feelings. These are natural feelings which God created and gave mankind. And it is our personal responsibility to know how now to navigate the path, how to control ourselves. We know if we tread this terrain, already it is slippery. We can fall down. That is now wisdom, having a bit to learn from David. Once you learn, if you are a wise and intelligent person, you know you are not special than David. I tell you, you don't need anybody to tell you, you need to avoid pornography like a sharp object. Because when you look at the people who are having sex, you are already roasting yourself in fire. You are toying with your feelings. Now that is going to create what is called impaired perception. And now, when the mind becomes a weight on your body with impaired perception and all this, now you underrate almost everything. Now that is the same smartphone that he gave you for pornography. Now it has got the contact. There is contacts app. It is going to give you an opposite sex. You begin calling so and so, you find it's not around. You call so and so, it's not around. You will get one before you call up to five number in your contacts. And then when he comes, even you find he has no protection. Even you are the one who is going to rape the boy because of how you are feeling. And you are the one who has called him into your room. You are in a university and you have called him. You don't care whether there is anything called protection. And that's why now you end up either contracting HIV, sponge, or you end up getting pregnant. Those are things now you underrate when you are having impaired perception, when already you have roasted yourself in fire. So you did not play safe. You had the willpower to choose not to go to that app. That is called willpower. When you were normal, that is called willpower. When it comes to matters of feelings, they lead us to do what is not premeditated. And that is now where you have to know so many human beings are messing them. So when I'm talking about premeditated, doing what is not premeditated, even when you are against, it is not advisable to go to visit the boy alone in a private room, in his room. You know you are not made of asbestos. You are human beings. If you are wise, you know you are not special than David. Now what you might end up doing is what you had not planned. Even in the morning, it is the feelings, or somebody you are engaged at is escorting you in the middle of the night. Two of you. Now you are all stupid. You are not diligent people. You want to pretend that you are special than David. That is now where stupidity is playing out, and you end up now doing what you did not plan, what is not now premeditated, and that is where now so many human beings are doing themselves a lot of injustice. They are innocent human beings. The way when it comes to matters of murder and money slaughter, those are different. If you already prosecuted somebody of murder and you cannot prove to a magistrate that there was prior planning and premeditation on that killing, definitely that case will not hold water in the eye of the law and before a judge or a magistrate, if it is supposed to be manslaughter, unless you prove how that person had planned to do it. This is just called manslaughter. That is a homicide without malice or specific intent to do it. That should be manslaughter. Maybe out of anger, and you have stamped somebody is dead. That is manslaughter. In the system of justice, that is manslaughter. That person did not plan to kill anybody, did not an idea of killing anybody. It is out of feelings, and if these things are there, we know them. Feelings can lead you to do what you have never thought in your life. That is just a feeling of anger can lead you to manslaughter. Now, the same applies to feelings. The way we have seen laws of nature, feelings of anger can lead you to steal while you are not a thief. Now, the same applies to feelings. When you toy with your feelings, sexual feelings, that can lead you to do what you never even thought about. And when people now are underrating these facts of life, when it comes to naturally how we are wired up, how we are created to operate and function. Now we have so many people, brilliance are in university, and they are short-circuiting their lives. They are messing their lives because of misguided curiosity and because of violation of the laws of nature. Once you hit age 20, you should take life very, very seriously. Because, as I stated in the last episode, you have got only one life to live. You don't have second lives. You are not rehearsing life. Every choice you are making is followed by consequences. And that is why now tackling levels of nature, from that time you have to understand what laws of nature are all about, and you have to ensure that you are playing safe by controlling your feelings. You are playing safe by exercising the willpower. In Proverbs chapter 1 verse 10, we are told, my son, if evil men entice you, consent not. This is the time you should exercise your willpower. If your peer group is telling you, let's do A, B, C, D, it is upon you to look at the consequences. Might you be violating a law of nature and this? And that is where you should exercise what is called fundamental rights and the freedoms of an individual. You can choose another company. It is within your power. It is called the willpower. And this is where we have to make sure we sit up mentally in order to pursue life, because you have got a life to live. This is a second level of the laws that are governing life. Next episode, I will tackle now spiritual laws governing life, already having dealt with the first level, that is the laws of the land. Now having tackled the laws of nature when it comes to real life. I'm your tour guide in this life exploration, and I trust that as you follow me through this channel, Nuggets of Wisdom, your life will never be the same again. You'll thank me later. There is this book, 1 in a Million, Become Your Best, a book that actually you can use the number below to contact for a hard copy. You can even get it through Amazon, the ebook, if you are serious about life. And a diligent mind acquires knowledge. The ear of the wise seeks knowledge. That is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 15. This is Nuggets of Wisdom with me, Dr. Nzomo A.K, the Bishop Amazing Grace Portion Sender. Catch up with me next episode. Your life will never be the same again. Shalom.